Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your pushback channel. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. And thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how to push back against globalist, leftist, globalist-owned media hacks, journalists or pretend journalists. I mean, they're all propagandists for the globalists now, but their style of interviewing and questioning and the assertions they make and how to push back against that. Now, Elon Musk recently did an interview with this smug, fucking sanctimonious BBC journalist who came in with the usual sort of approach. Yeah, just deny you're a Nazi. Yeah, hate speech, fascist. Yeah, that sort of line of assertion, and then the question. So everyone knows you're a damn fucking Nazi, Hitler. So you're going to deny it, motherfucker? And that type of questioning. I mean, not that exact wording, but that line of questioning. And most of the time, people accept the people being, accosted or interviewed, call it what you like, accept the assertions and then try to respond and either say, well, no, actually, I'm not a Nazi. And but as soon as you go in there, you half accept their assertion. And then you're on the back foot, and they've pretty much got you at that point. You look like a Nazi who's denying you're a Nazi, or you look like a Nazi who's trying to get away with it. So as long as their assertions stick, then they've sort of claimed that moral high ground, but they've also put you in a position, the interviewee, that you're required to deny something that's not accurate in the first place. So, and it frames the structure of the interview and presents you in the worst possible light. And on top of that, they'll edit out whatever they can to make the interviewee look like the bad guy. But and it works in the reverse. If their guest is saying, "Oh, yeah, Nazis are everywhere." In fact, I just saw Hitler going out the back door a moment ago. That those assertions like that are just completely accepted. There's no questioning of that. So I just want to talk about this generally. Now, if you haven't watched that Elon Musk interview, I thoroughly recommend you have a look at it, the BBC interview with Mr Musk. It only happened a few days ago, I think. So it went something along these lines, and I'll paraphrase it, but the BBC's a little bit irritated or annoyed that they've been put up on Twitter as being a government organisation. Now, that's, in my view, factually correct. The BBC is funded by the British government, by the taxpayer, so they're obviously government. Now, the BBC is concerned because that government monitor that Twitter used to use for only the media that wasn't globalist controlled. So, Russian media or, Chinese media or something like that, North Korean media, that's government control. So the suggestion or implication was that it was politically, everything they talked about was being couched in political terms to, say, suit the Russian government or the Chinese government or whatever. Now that may be true, but then so does the globalist controlled media in the United States or Britain or Australia. They reflect the globalist position, and no other points of view are permitted or allowed. So in the case of putting the BBC, having that its government controlled, then that's accurate in my view. Not only in the literal sense, that is that they're government funded, but also in the sense that they trot out the globalist line, because all Western governments are globalist controlled, and thus the media trots out the globalist line. So that's accurate. But the BBC was irritated by this, so they tried to have a go at Mr Musk to make out or infer that he was really a supporter of hate speech, not the morally pure speech of the beautiful and wonderful BBC. And so they came and said, well, you promote hate speech. Okay, says Mr Musk, Elon Musk, can you give me an example? Oh, well, I just don't have one at hand. Well, you say that it's hate speech. You say that you've seen a lot of instances of it. You know of it. So hey, give me an example. You've got your smartphone there. Why don't you get one? Get me one of these examples of hate speech. Oh, well, I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me. No. You said hate speech. Give me an example of this hate speech. Just one. And let's have a look at it. Oh, well, and the guy just didn't know what to do. He tried to push back against Musk, saying, well, I'm interviewing you, or this is not about me, it's about you. Or trying, no. You've said that the whole interview, the premise of the interview, the launching pad of the interview is hate speech. Prove the hate speech. That's the launching pad. If I accept the hate speech, then the whole interview will be will be governed by that initial premise and assertion. So before we go any further, show me this hate speech. And the guy couldn't do it. Then he started to waffle about, well, I'm not saying hate speech. It's other people are saying it. The Organization for Hating White People has said that there was hate speech. So it wasn't really me. Well, no, you've said that you know of hate speech. Mr. Musk comes back. Oh, well, yeah, what I really meant to say was, and the guy went down like a sack of shit, seriously. Now that's the way. It's hardly a difficult call, so we'll prove your assertion here. It's hardly a difficult call. Now, depending on that's an interview, but as in like a TV interview by a major media organisation, but you can apply it in any circumstances. I've been to plenty of dinners and lunches and social gatherings, and I don't declare my political position. I need to keep that under wraps, otherwise I probably wouldn't get any invitations to these lunches and dinners. But anyway, where somebody, oh yeah, well, Trump's obviously a Nazi, and he said that really Nazi thing, last. What was that? Oh, it was I don't know. I'm interested, really. If he's that bad, I want to know about it. Really, so show me. I mean, so out come the. And I'm being very gentle here. I'm not being confrontational in the sense of a BBC interview or something, but and sure enough, they'll come out. Well, no, often they don't. They say, oh, well, I just know. I don't have to prove it to you. All right, so you can't show me. You can't. Well, I don't have to engage with you, and you can get that response. But for the people that do go, all right, then okay, I'll take up the challenge here, and they get their smartphone out and pull up the supposed quote, and you go, okay, well, that's not what he said here. Listen to, I mean, sure, the MSNBC reporter said that he said that, and really he's Hitler and everything. But if you listen to the actual speech that he made, he didn't say that. They've edited that to make it look like he said that, but he actually didn't. Here's and pull out my smartphone. Here's the speech. That's what he actually said. And you can get some assuming they'll stay with you for the course of that, through the time it takes, which is a few minutes and end to end. Then they'll okay, yeah, all right. Then now some of them will say, well, it doesn't matter what he said or not. He's still Hitler. They'll do that. And people in their 50s and 60s, by the way, they're not. And I've caught a number of, I've able to show a number of people that that's not what he said, or no, you've misunderstood it. This is what was said, or no, that was a claim actually made by someone else. That wasn't him at all that said that. Well, no, that's something that the media claimed he said, but he never did. And you can go through it, and some of them will accept that. Some will grudgingly accept it, but as long as you're pushing back and proving them to be wrong. Now, some just simply refuse. Oh, I don't care how much you prove that he never did those things. I don't care. He's still Hitler. You always get those people. But it's much harder for a journalist or an interviewer to come across as that stupid and childish in an interview that's being recorded. They have to pretend at least to be somewhat professional. I mean, they're being paid to be supposed journalists. But I just sort of want to get across the point that when anyone comes at you there with an assertion of well, you're a Nazi, just push back against that. Just say, okay, what evidence do you have? No, I'm interested to know. I mean, if there is proof of that, then I'd like to see it. I'm not aware of anything. So now you'll get the sort of that funny grin of people, that weird sort of grimacy type grin where they realise they're being called out. But for the most part, if you look at any interview with, I look at interviews, say talking about climate change as a case in point. Someone will come out and say, well, the world's going to end in 5 years. We don't do something. And that's how bad it is. Oh, it's so really bad. And we just have to do something. And the audience, erupts into applause. And there's not one challenge to this, not one challenge. 5 years? How do you know it's 5 years? What evidence do you have of that? They're like, wow. But there's no pushback. There's just an acceptance of the sort of the vibe, the emotional vibe of it all. But then when one person comes up and I remember one panel I'm thinking of just recently, one person comes up and says, well, there are a number of scientists that have said that this climate change thing is just a natural phenomenon. It's been going on for tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of years. And suddenly the journalists or the other people there, suddenly they're all super professional. Oh yeah, evidence. You better give me evidence. I want a million scientists right now. You better give it to me right now, this very second. So suddenly the burden of proof just goes whoosh. And there's a huge burden of proof on the people that don't go along with the approved line. But when you are talking about the approved line, suddenly the burden of proof drops away to nothing. You need prove nothing. You just need to make some sort of emotionally volatile little speech and make absurd and ridiculous, unsupportable claims. But coming back, just finishing off here on the Elon Musk thing, in that whenever you see, or if ever you put in a position of that, just ask, well, I don't accept that. I'm not aware of that. Don't indicate that you're on the other side of the argument, because then you're a Nazi anyway, so I don't have to talk to you, because they'll try that one. But try instead to just commit, well, no, I'd like to know about that. Well, every time I've sort of asked people to confirm or prove the claim they've just made, and things like, look it up. Or no, well, you look it up. You've got your smartphone there. You look it up. You're saying it's an issue, or tell me what to look up, and I'll do it now. Whenever you call them out on it, or just ask them to back it up, then they fall to pieces and they go quiet and they put on these silly smiles as they realise that they've been held to account for their claims, because they believe they're being so morally pure. Anyone who says Trump is a Nazi is a good person. Anyone who says white people are all Hitler, then they're a good person, and so on. But the minute, and they hang around in bubbles so that they get confirmed by this. Oh, that's right, all white people are Nazis. Say that the table around the dinner table, who are all white people, by the way. The irony seems to escape them. But the minute you call them out or question or ask them to prove it, they can't. And I haven't had not one situation, not one, where any of the people I've asked to prove it have been able to prove it, or they've the only thing they can produce is a heavily doctored and edited MSNBC segment that has edited out various things to make Trump or somebody look bad. Other than that, they haven't been able to show anything at all, and most of them will attempt to change the subject, or will accuse you of being a Nazi or something, but they can't prove it, which is the material point here. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.